Hello and welcome everyone. This is Sean Duncan, and I want to thank you for joining me on today's training webinar on how to combine all of your high interest debt and monthly payments into one low payment without having to borrow additional money, without having to put money down, and without having to start all over on your mortgage. I put this webinar together because so many of my clients who work hard every day, they have great jobs, they make great incomes, they could just never seem to get ahead. After helping many of them reduce their monthly payments, I found that many of them just didn't know or realize the strategy I'm about to teach you. They simply needed someone to help guide them along the way. They have commonly told me, I never knew that, or why didn't anybody tell me about this? The gratitude and appreciation they have given me after helping them was so rewarding. I wanted to share this with other hardworking men and women who are in the same situation. So if you're a homeowner that is feeling that your finances are a bit disorganized, or you're feeling the interest on your debt is too high, or your payments are too high, or you just want to add more cash flow to your monthly budget without having to borrow more money, then this webinar is certainly for you. Know what it's like to work hard all day and even stay late to put in more hours, working weekends, trying to manage life, kids, careers, bills, and the list goes on and on. I know what it's like to look up and realize that your credit cards, loans, and high interest debt is overwhelming you to the point that you feel like you'll just never get ahead. You're feeling like this guy. You're spinning in that wheel, running as fast as you can, but never getting ahead. You pay off a card just to charge it back up again, or you pay off a car loan just to go out and get another one. It just seems to never end. If this is you, I'm going to teach you how myself and many of my clients have managed to reduce all these high monthly payments into one low monthly payment with a low interest rate. In summary, I've got 4 goals that we're going to accomplish today during our webinar. You'll learn how to save thousands in interest on high interest debts. You'll reduce all your monthly payments down to one low monthly payment. You'll learn how you can leverage this monthly savings to help you become debt-free at a rocket pace, including paying off your house early. At the end of the webinar, I'm also going to give you the tools you'll need to get started on this strategy right away, and I'll also be including the calculations and calculators that I've been using to show you in these examples. Now, there's no better time than right now to review your overall debt level and the amount of interest that you're paying. Every payment you make, it's like paying rent to the banks for using their money. If you check your statements, you'll find the majority of every payment goes to pay the interest on your debt. It's costing you anywhere from $500, in some cases $1,000 per month, just on interest alone. Some people are paying this much every week. Long-term interest rates have never been lower, and acting right now is a key component to ensure that you're taking advantage of this time. You know what they say is, time is money. So, you know that slogan that comes up on TV, it says, what's in your wallet? Well, let me ask you this, what's in your wallet? For the average American, there's more than one card in their wallet. The average American is paying 4 or more credit cards. And not just that, they also have 2 auto loans, student loans, and other short-term debt. The average American's credit card balances are $8,300. On this next slide is what many lending institutions don't want to advertise. They're after one thing. So the majority of the money that you're spending to pay them is going directly toward interest. It's like you're paying them rent to use their money. Did you know that on an average credit card with a $10,000 balance, the minimum payment on this card would be $275? Did you know that only $50 of that would be going to principal? At this rate, it would take you about 8 years to pay off that debt. You'd end up spending a total of $25,000 on a $10,000 balance. Every month you wait is another month you're going to be tied down with high monthly payments and paying high interest rates. I'm going to show you how you can get out of this right now. So if you're a homeowner that either put a large down payment when you purchase, or you have lived in your home for over 5 years, I'm going to need you to grab a notepad and be in a place where you can focus for the next 30 minutes. This way you can have complete understanding of how the strategy will work for you, and will have the full ability to take advantage of this right away. This webinar is meant to offer general advice and strategies, and it's not specific to your situation. If you would like specific advice on your situation, then I would recommend getting a customized review by one of our licensed professionals. Also, if you've recently purchased your home with little money down and you don't anticipate you have any equity in your home, then this webinar is not for you. Right now, I'm going to show you how to take the next step in eliminating all the high interest debt and drop it into one low payment. But before I do, I want you to think about, what is your why? On these slides, you're going to see my wife and I on our 17th anniversary trip to Hawaii, watching the beautiful sunset. We had such a great time and enjoyed the beauty of Hawaii. What's your why? It might be your family, it might be retirement. What are your goals? What is your motivating factor? I want you to think about those things, because that's really what we're trying to help you achieve here. We're trying to help give you the financial freedom to establish the savings you've never had, or prepare for retirement, college, or pay off your house 4 to 6 years early. So in order to do that, the first thing we got to do is help to understand how the financial markets work and how the flow of money works in the economy. You see, banks and lenders basically take big, huge pool of funds that they have in the accounts from all their consumers that put deposits with them. They take that money and leverage it, and they leverage it by pledging that money to the federal government or the Federal Reserve, who will then in turn give them loans at very, very low interest rates. Not only do they make money on your money, they also make money on government money by pledging their capital, which they got from you, to borrow more from the Federal Reserve at really low rates. Now the banks, what they do is they take those funds and they lend them to us at 10, 15, as high as 30% interest. They're basically renting our money back to us. Not a smart deal, right? Does it seem a little bit unfair? Well, you're right, it is unfair. So we have to be smarter. We have to win in this financial game. We have to use the same system to leverage the cheapest money that you can find anywhere. But before we get to that, I'd like to share a personal story. This might look familiar to many of you. Cashback rewards. You probably see that all the time on your credit cards and department stores and different places that you go. Cashback rewards. It's a psychology. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to know that as you're spending money, you're getting money back. Well, early on in my young married life, unfortunately, I fell into the same trap. It seemed very innocent at first. I thought I was outsmarting the system or winning against the credit card company because I was earning 3% cash back on everything I spent. So as I started putting everything on my credit card to create more rewards, I then would just pay the credit card off in full each month. So that way I wouldn't pay interest. I'm sure many of you have done this also. I really enjoyed making that $1,000 in cash back every year. The problem was that I continued on with this pattern. I started to exceed what I could pay off each month, to the point where I started paying interest on that debt. And before you knew it, I owed close to $20,000 in credit card debt. I never imagined that would happen to me, but all it took was a job transition and a move. My credit card became my sole source of emergency funds. Has this ever happened to you? I felt trapped, and as I started looking for ways to save on my payments or reduce my debts, it seemed like I would pay a big chunk down, and yet the very next bill, the balance had barely reduced. Then, on top of all this, we had 2 car payments, a house payment, student loans. Oh, and we had to eat that month too, right? I grew tired of spending every dollar to pay back debt. You may have heard the saying, the borrower is slave to the lender. While this may not be true in the physical sense, it sure seems to feel that way when you're working every day to pay back the bank and make them more money. As I sat down and counted how long it was going to take me to pay off my credit cards, student loans, car loans, I became sick to my stomach. There had to be a better way. I basically had a choice of continuing to try to grind it out day after day and barely make a dent, or I could choose to do something about it. So I decided to search for a solution to help me solve this problem. If you're experiencing a similar problem, don't be too hard on yourself. This problem is becoming more and more common in our society today. They never really taught us about credit cards in school. In many cases, as soon as you enter college, they're pushing them on you. And then our parents never really knew or had this part of their life sorted out either. It's like society has been geared to encourage this way of living. But don't worry, because we're going to help you correct the course today. In order to do that, we need to have a basic understanding of short-term debt versus long-term debt. Short-term debt is designed to pay off quickly, like in 5 years. Typically, this type of debt is the debt you'll see on car loans, credit cards, and other short-term personal loans, like payday loans. The interest on this debt is typically ranging from 5% all the way to 30%. For installment loans, normally the terms are shorter, so the payments are higher. Top that off with high interest rates, and now it's a double whammy. Shorter term debt is normally unsecured or secured against a depreciating asset, such as a car, an RV, motorcycle, boat loan, things like that. The less security, the higher the interest rate. Also, the longer the term, the higher the rate. Consumers caught up in short-term debt typically are paying multiple accounts with higher payments, causing it to pile up on them quicker than they realized it. This problem isn't new. Just listen to a few of our own clients and how they felt. Here is a story from one of our clients that found themselves in this exact same situation.
My wife and I have become burdened with credit card debt. The credit card debt alone was in excess of $1,600 on its own. Plus, we had a home loan of $1,400. And we met Sean Duncan through a friend that knew my financial situation and how heavy that burden that we had was. And Sean got in touch with us, and he looked at our situation and said, there's a way out of your situation. And we've put together everything, and Sean looked at it, fixed it all up, and now we don't have any credit card debt, and our home loan is less than $1,400 a month. It was a total refinance of our finances, of our life, and we've basically got our freedom back. So I really appreciate what Duncan Loans did for us, and the process was so simple, and it made everything worry-free. They took care of it, and here we are, living the high life again.
Feasible. So we reached out to you, Sean, and just kind of started talking about options and realizing that what we thought was not possible was absolutely possible. And yeah, it became a defeating situation became very very life-giving, and so it was an awesome experience above and beyond what we thought. The process, Sean, was so easy, so smooth. The team that you have, they're incredible to work with, just very professional, very knowledgeable. If I had questions, I'd email and got responses super quickly. Can't speak highly enough about y'all. You help. We were kind of looking here, what we could, and you challenged us to maybe look a little bit more. And when you did that, you opened our eyes to what was actually feasible. And man, can't thank you enough, bro. Like, awesome.
This is my second mortgage with them, and they have been fantastic through the whole process. They found me the best rates. They made everything less stressful. And you know something? I mean, it's just been a great, fantastic process with working with everybody over there. And in the future, I'm definitely going to go back and use them again.
My name's Sean Duncan, and I've been in this industry for over 18 years. And I can tell you, I've seen it all. I've had the opportunity of helping over 2,000 families with their mortgage lending. You just heard from a few of them and how we've helped them. Here are some more of our client testimonials I'd love for you to review. Not trying to brag, but Julie thinks we're the best lender ever. Miguel says he's always available to answer questions. We're quick and easy. Awesome work. Awesome attention to detail. I could go on reading these testimonials, but let's get back to our webinar. The very next sections of this webinar, I'm going to take a look at specific examples and strategies. I'll need you to tune in and take notes. This is a critical part of the webinar. Be sure to have a notepad, a pen, and make sure you're in a place that you can concentrate on the financial strategy we're going to talk about. Feel free to plug in your own numbers so that you can see how these numbers would impact you individually. This will begin to help you see the potential savings of your own life and help you envision yourself financially free. The first thing you'll need to know about how we help our clients is the basic principle of using long-term secured debt at very low interest rates. In the financial markets, banks, credit unions, and financial institutions, they lend long-term debt of 15, 20, 30 years at the lowest rates available in the market. In many cases, this type of debt is secured by a collateral like land or real estate. Because of the security they receive, lenders have very little risk. And so they're willing to lend at longer terms with much lower interest rates than other types of loans. Typically, you'll find mortgage rates as close to the prime rate as possible when it comes to debt. Leveraging this is a key component of our strategy. So, you know my story and how I felt. One day someone asked me, "Hey, if you could sell your home today, what would you do with all those proceeds?" My answer was, I think I'll pay off my debt and I'll start all over. But there was only one problem. Where would I live? I'd have to start over finding a home, saving for a down payment, dealing with the hike in housing prices that had happened in my market. It was highly unlikely I would find the same home that I owned at a great price or at the similar price that I bought my home for. Then someone showed me that I can access that same equity now and keep my home and continue to live in it. In other words, I could access the equity at long-term, low rates and reduce my monthly debt load, all while keeping my house note on a similar payment that I already had. So instead of taking 10 years to get a handle on my finances, I could take control of it right away. So I did it, and I was able to eliminate the debt. There came such a freedom. I was able to pay my same mortgage, but free up all of that other income. We were able to do family vacations, save for retirement. I was even able to pay my next car cash. Sound too easy? I'm going to show you a real live example of how we're able to help people just like you do the same exact thing. So for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to show you how myself and many of our clients have done this. In our example, we're going to use the average American family. We're going to call them the Johnsons. The Johnsons spend their money much like many of you. They have utility bills, house payments, credit cards, car loans, food and basic provisions, and possibly student loans. For the most part, we found that everyone pays the same types of stuff all over the world. I've put together a pie chart and adjusted the pie chart to 4 basic categories: housing, living, credit cards, and other installment debt like cars, student loans, etc. Now notice the majority of families have at least 25% of their income going toward their house note. In many cases, it's more than that. Notice in this that their installment loans are $1,500 of their income. Their mortgage is $1,875 with taxes and insurance. Their credit cards are $750 and their living expenses are $1,900 per month. Notice their discretionary income, that tiny little yellow sliver of the pie, it's only $100 to $200 per month. And by discretionary, I mean you can spend this money however you like and have complete freedom to do with it what you want. Notice the debt load of this family makes up about 75%. With such a small portion of the family budget being discretionary, it will be very difficult to ever get ahead. That's when you're stuck, because you have no additional resources to dig yourself out of the hole. Now imagine, what if we could somehow maneuver all this debt into one quadrant of the pie? Let's push this all over to the 25% section where the mortgage was. Let's take all the short-term debt and move it into long-term, low-interest debt. Now the Johnsons, they're going to owe the same amount of money in total, right? They're just going to owe it on a different instrument. They're going to be making the same monthly payment on their mortgage as they were previously. But the difference is, now they have the remaining 75% of the pie. They have increased their discretionary income from a few hundred to $2,250 per month. Wow! Their power to get ahead is now 10 times what they previously had. You see, you simply can't get ahead $100 at a time. At this rate, it's hopeless. But $2,250 at a time, you can really do some damage. Let's take this example here. This person is paying off a $22,000 balance at a 15% rate, and they're paying the $300 minimum payment every month. Based on this chart, it shows after 11 months, they're still going to owe almost the entire $22,000 if you look on the left-hand side. If you look on the right-hand side, that's what it would look like in 11 months if you paid the $2,250 on that debt. So in 11 months, you'd either owe just over $21,000 or you would be completely paid off. This is the same exact strategy that we want to help you use with all your debts. But wait, I know what you're thinking. I don't want to consolidate my high interest debt into my mortgage and pay interest on it for another 30 years, right? That's what many people think when we first speak with them. If you're like most, you've paid your mortgage for 7 to 10 years, and you've seen your home value go up, and you're starting to feel good about that balance coming down. But just to be clear, in our strategy, it is not advisable for you to consolidate your debt into your mortgage and then pay all that debt off in 30 years. We do not want you to take that debt and take 30 years to pay it off. That would be very silly, right? We like to call this our rocket propulsion system. What you'll find is that by eliminating this huge load off your shoulders and freeing up your discretionary income, you'll actually be able to pay off your home at a much faster rate than you've ever dreamed possible. So let's put these numbers to work for the Johnsons. And this information can be verified after the webinar with the tools and calculators that we give you. The Johnsons owe a $250,000 mortgage after paying for it for 7 years. They have 23 years left to pay. They add an additional $40,000 into their balance after rolling their debt into it. Now they have $290,000 left to pay on a 30-year term. The payments remain the same and do not increase. Now they take the $2,250 in discretionary income that we freed up for them, and they apply $1,500 of that only to paying the principal down on their mortgage. The other $750 a month, that goes into an emergency savings account to help them establish an emergency fund. So not only do they pay their minimum payment each month of $1,469, which is the P&I payment, principal and interest payment, but they add another $1,500 to it. So guess how long at this rate it will take them to pay off their loan? 123 months, or just over 10 years. That's 13 years shorter than what they were previously going to pay it off in. So they went from 23 years to 13 years. The difference is, in 10 years, all their debt is paid off. They've been saving $750 a month for 10 years. They've accumulated $92,000 in savings. And then starting in year 11, they start taking the $750 plus the mortgage payment they had been paying of $2,969. They start putting the entire amount into savings. That's $3,719. So from year 11 to year 23, guess what they've accumulated by doing this? $672,000. This is assuming they have earned no interest Just imagine if they were able to invest those dollars into an investment vehicle that could easily have doubled their money during that same time span. But what if? What if the Johnsons just took that $750 and instead of applying it to an emergency fund, what if they applied that to their mortgage as well? Well, now it wouldn't take 10.3 years to pay it off. It would take 7.8 years. Does this sound like starting over to you? To me, it sounds like a new start. What if the Johnsons did nothing? They could continue in their endless cycle of being strapped every month and never get ahead. They could take another 23 years to pay off their mortgage, all while still running up their credit cards, paying car loans, student loans, and maybe at the end, they'll have a paid off home, but nothing else left to show for it. The statistics show that they would most likely continue struggling for another 23 years, scraping to get by. I'd like you to plug these numbers in for yourself. What does this mean for you? What would it mean for your financial future? You have a choice. Choice A, you can keep on running in that rat race. Choice B, you can be like the Johnsons. I'm about to show you why right now is the best time in history to take advantage of this opportunity. Historically, interest rates and housing prices had never given a more opportune time to make this strategy work at its best. Normally, when housing prices crash, like in 2008, you'll see a decline in rates as well, so that while families have access to low rates, they can't really access equity in their home because their values have gone down. Or sometimes you might see prices rise in houses, but many times you'll see the rates correspond to that, and the rates will rise as well. Rarely do you find what is the case right now. You see, housing prices are now approaching all-time highs once again, and giving homeowners more equity in their properties than they've ever had. This of itself provides a great opportunity for homeowners, but when you couple this with the fact that interest rates right now are at all-time lows, this creates a perfect storm for homeowners to take advantage and make their home work for them. Now let me put you at ease. These loans are 15, 20, and 30-year fixed mortgages. They have very low interest rates, and these rates are fixed and they can never change. These are not loans that would jeopardize the homeowner by fluctuating or increasing in balance over time. These are very simple 30-year fixed rate mortgage loans. Now you may think to yourself how painful this will be to go through a mortgage loan process, providing paperwork, looking for a lender, making sure you get the very best deal. What if I told you I could take all that guesswork off your plate? We can help you know right away what the terms of your loan would be, how much you would save, and with great assurance that we can approve your loan. After helping over 2,000 families with their mortgage needs, I know that we can help you too. If you're thinking this would be helpful for your family, let's schedule a time to discuss your specific situation, your family's wants and needs. Let's set up a structure that will put you in a better position and free you up from the massive debt load that you're paying right now. Information is free, and discussing your options just takes a little time. Invest a few minutes of time to help change your financial future. Schedule a call today and you'll receive a free credit report review and $500 off your processing fee. This is a no obligation consultation, a free credit review, and customized solution for your family. Click here and schedule your call now.